So what's up? It's your boy Adon Marcus, IFBB Pro, and I decided to make a part two to this video. Because I realize a lot of people don't really know the place that I'm coming from and know much about me. So, give you some background. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, South Side in the Inglewood neighborhood. I was born at Stroger Hospital, which is basically the free hospital. Didn't have a mom and a dad growing up. Mom was a drug addict. Dad, never met him, to this day, don't know who he is. So, stories about my great grandmother, probably in the poorest and most combative neighborhood in Chicago. And, a lot of people would say, those are some pretty tough odds. But one thing that I learned, my grandmother, I love her, toughest woman I know on this planet. She raised me. Granddad, great grandfather passed very early. So it's really just my great grandmother, my grandmother, right? So there was no bitching and no moaning growing up with her. I think maybe I saw her cry maybe once my entire life, right? She's a tough woman. So, she taught me, number one, you can be whatever you want to be as long as you wouldn't work 2 to 3 times as hard as anybody else. You can do whatever you want in life. Shoot for the stars, don't settle. And I believe that. And the one thing I learned from the beginning is that the neighborhood I was in was not going to be the neighborhood I was going to stay in. I made a commitment early on. So, she taught me, don't let your environment, don't let the obstacles stop you from doing what you want to do. Whatever you want to do is in your head. Mentally, it's in your focus. And whatever you do, you put your best at it. So I remember at an early age, I got chased home by these 3 kids, really young. So I got chased home by these 3 kids and ran to the house. She sent me back outside and she said, if you don't go back out there and fight for yourself, I'm going to beat your ass. So I went back out there. I'm not going to say I won the fight, but I certainly didn't lose. It was some significant odds, 3 versus 1. All 3 were bigger than me. But one thing I learned that day, you always fight for yourself. You fight, you scrap, no matter what. Stand up for what you believe in. And I earned those boys respect. They never followed me home again. And in fact, for really the rest of the time I was in that neighborhood growing up, I had to respect everybody there. And this is it was a very early lesson to learn. And it was very significant and impacted my life. So one thing I learned is that, and I made a commitment at a very early age, and I mean less than 10 years old, is that I wasn't going to stay here, So every single thing I did 110%, graduated at the top of my class in grammar school. Was on the basketball team. We won a championship. Couldn't play any other sports, wasn't allowed. Didn't have any money to go to a private high school, but when you do things and you do them well, you attract attention. So I got a scholarship to go to St. Rita. I got there, graduated at the top of my class, not number 1, but 3.8 GPA on a 4-point scale. Captain of the wrestling, football, and track team. When I got there, football, nobody knew who I was. There was all these top recruits there. I had to fight and scrap my way into the fight in the starting lineup. And by my junior year, I was starting. Actually, by my sophomore year, I was starting. So that's how I am. I'm a fighter. I'm a scrapper. I get knocked down. I keep fighting. Scratch, scrap, whatever it takes, and get better and better and improve and go hard. You can't settle. If you want to do something, you got to go hard. You got to put your mind to it and focus. So after that opened up another door. I didn't have money to go to college, but guess what? That opened up the door for me to go to school. I was in a neighborhood where it was shooting every other day. Half the people on my block are either in jail or they're dead. And it wasn't a situation where you get to pick and choose if you're going to be in a gang. Everybody was in the gang. It's that type of neighborhood. But people respected me because, I was so great at football. I was so great at school. They backed off. I didn't have to do all the crazy stuff that people were doing. They respected me. People were like, man, you're going to football practice? Good stuff, man. We behind you. So it's a difference. You make your own environment in this life, right? So after high school, ended up getting a scholarship to Northwestern, one of the top schools in the country, and I wrestled at Northwestern. Now, another thing happened to me while I was there. Got mixed up in the partying, my first year, got in a fraternity, loved one, Kappa Alpha Psi. Kappa Alpha Psi to the day I die. Great fraternity, learned a lot. But my freshman year, I almost fell out of school. In fact, I did get kicked out of school. Another obstacle, right? Some of my friends, a couple of people got kicked out. They didn't come back. But I fought, scrapped, focused, was determined, got my way back in there, and graduated with pretty much a 3.0 GPA, right? Had a back injury, couldn't wrestle anymore, couldn't play football anymore, but that's okay. Still graduated with that diploma, that bachelor's from NU. So, thing is, and then after that, it doesn't stop. This is life. Things continue to happen. So, kept moving throughout life, kept trying to find my way, and then had a serious accident, ruptured my esophagus, had a 30% chance of living. I weighed about 100 pounds. I was down and out for about 6 months, almost a year, almost died, right? Very close call. Guess what? I was in shape before that happened, so it helped me recover. So the bottom line is, this is life, people. It's no everything is going to be great all the time. You're going to get obstacles no matter what level you're at. And the higher you go, the more challenges you're going to have. But at the end of the day, you keep pushing and you must get better. You must be open to realizing that your best today is not your best tomorrow. And a lot of times you're not even at your best today. So you have to be open and honest. And any obstacle you have is not like my man, Sylvester Stallone. It's not how many times you fall, you get knocked down. It's how you get up. So you must get up, you must fight, you must improve. And that's been my motto. My first competition for bodybuilding, actually even before that, I gained a lot of weight. I had a desk job, it was cushy, 50 pounds overweight. Blood pressure was through the roof. I was in my 30s and I'm like, man, I'm feeling like an old man. I need to change this. Another setback. I took a year, I focused on my health, my eating habits, got in great condition, got from 32% body fat to 10 to 11%, controlling my blood pressure naturally now, no medicine, no medication. And then people start saying, man, you should compete. So I started competing. My first competition came in third. Didn't really know what I was doing. So then I decided to compete with the best of the best with the NPC. After that, came in first overall at the Midwest Ironman here in Chicago. Then I went to Junior Nationals, got crushed, got killed, right? Sent the email to the judges. They told me what I needed to work on to improve. A few months later, came back, for North Americans, took number 1, got my pro card. Did that in less than a year, in exactly a year, got my pro card in a year. And even now that I turned pro, it's a whole different level of competition. Everybody's a winner. Everybody's good. Everybody's tight. Everybody has that mentality. But champions, the cream rises to the top. So, again, I just wanted to make another video, part 2, so you guys know a little bit about me, who I am. And, at the end of the day, whatever your dream is, hopefully this can help, man. You're going to get knocked down, but it's how hard you get up, how fast you get up, how much you learn, what you take from it. When you lose, you got to use that. Use that loss to propel you to victory, propel you to become a champion. Use that feeling that you feel inside when you lose to push you. And then when you win, use that feeling that you have inside. So when you're a winner, to give you confidence in those times where you lose perspective and you feel down and you're like, man, I'm on these low carbs or whatever it is, whatever obstacle it is. Remember the times that you won, how that felt, that you are a champion. But when you lose, remember that too. Use that feeling. No, you don't want that feeling again. And you push and you get better until you get to the goal that you're shooting for. So that's all I wanted to say, guys. Give you some background on who I am, what my background is. And it's your boy Adon Marcus. We're going to keep pushing all the way as far as we can go under God's grace. And we're going to always give it 110%, guys. So whenever you see me, you know, it's the best that I have at that time to present. So love you guys. Peace. I'm out of here.